It's Tuesday, and I am administering two courses, one preparatory course for my bootcamp, and also and another thing is the Work the Web training program on Agile Ventures. So I want to build some interesting challenges for these people, and I also learn a few things myself, hopefully. So here I am, and we have I have a little bit of course documentation here, and this week around I'm asking my students to work with a challenge that we call the address book challenge. And the address book challenge is it's pretty easy. It's nothing super extraordinary. They are supposed to build a small application in JavaScript, vanilla JavaScript, and HTML and all of that, that would allow them to store some information about a user locally. So here's the pitch that I just delivered yesterday. Let's see what else. So we want to put some JavaScript to use, yada yada, all of that stuff. I spoke to them about behavior-driven development yesterday. That was interesting per se. This is a work session, so I'm just going to create some course documentation. I don't plan to deliver anything today, but we will be using local storage for this thing, to store data, and data in local storage is stored with key value pairs and so on. So I'm planning to update the course docs, because there is some course documentation about this, but there is not enough for us to I mean, it's not good enough in my opinion, or or perhaps it's good, but I want to make it better, or I want to rewrite it, and that's what I'm going to do. So let's see. I will place this project inside of the full stack preparatory course repo. So let's open this one up at this stage. Right, and we have, let's close this. Let's close this. We are on the main branch. It's gonna check the status. Oh, so what is git diff? All right, that's not much. So git ci a long overdue commit. Right. So let's just check git remote -v. What do we have here? We have right, of course, it's push. So we do git push origin main. Right, and I will probably want to create a new branch. So I'm just going to check out the new branch, and we're going to call it address book challenge. Right. Okay. So far so good. Right. Let's see. Let's clear this up. What do we have? We have week 4, and week 4 is empty. So I probably need to add a Git Ignore. I want to add a Git Ignore here. And in the Git Ignore, I want to first of all do node modules, but I also want to have a wildcard for all node modules. Let's see if that's how I do it. Like, if I have any node modules in subfolders, I want to exclude them, and I think this is gonna do it for me. I think, but I don't know. So we have to be worried about that. Git add git ci and git ignore, or to exclude node modules in all, or recursively in all subfolders. Right, we'll see if that even works. But so, right, I want to have that added to my folder. So what happens here is since this is like a book or documentation or whatever, the whole thing is version controlled, and I basically want to make sure that I can work with subfolders. So anyway, I'm gonna create a subfolder in the 04, right? So we do 04 week. So one will be called documentation, and the other one will be called code or demo code. Right. So I want to open up a new terminal and cd into the 04 demo code here. So this is where I will work with creating the app itself. Right. So and here I will go into the documentation here, and I'm going to create a new file, and I will call it 01, and I will say setting up the project structure, right, .md. Okay, so we can close the Git Ignore. Okay, so setting up the project structure. Okay, and you know, and I'm gonna make some mistakes and then spelling mistakes and all of that stuff, but that's gonna hopefully run this through some spelling software somewhere. Who knows? All right. So the objective here is to set up the folder structure, add dependencies for running and testing the app. Right. So so this is what I will focus on at this point. And so let's see, I will have so this will be a vanilla JavaScript thing, so it will not be anything sexy or anything, but I want to, so let's see, I need to run a server, right? And so I'm gonna use super static will be used for that. And then code, implementation code will be in the source folder, right? Let's call it the source folder. And tests, well, tests, so acceptance test will be in the Cyprus integration folder, and this is the problem here. Well, we can work with that somehow, but unit tests will be in I could in principle place them in Cyprus specs or unit test specs or something, but I will not do that. I will place them in specs. And a lot of people uses tests. I don't know, out of old habit I'm using specs for that. Test, yeah, right. So this is, yeah, I think this will be okay. All right, so test place or location, test location, test locations. And so, okay, so test tech or dependencies. Okay, so for acceptance tests, I'm gonna use Cyprus. That kind of, you know, comes across already. Cyprus. And unit tests would be, well, it's going to be a few. So this is going to be Mocha, and it's going to be Chai, and we're going to use sign-on for mock stubs and spies, and we're also going to say use this this package that I use. What is that called? Yeah, this is called BDD lazy var. It's really bad name. But this one actually brings a lot of things to the table. Believe it or not, but it does. I'm going to talk a little bit about that later, perhaps. Okay, so the Cyprus, right? Okay, and then helper methods, helper. There's another helper dependencies. So there is one called starts, or is it called? Yeah, I think it's like server and test. Start server and test. And actually, just so we get some stuff. Where's my browser? Oh, there it is. Okay, so let's see. If we just go to npm.js.org and we look for start server and tests, right? I'm actually gonna link this one. Right, so I like this one because it starts the server, waits for the URL to fully load, and then executes my tests, and then shuts down the server when I'm done, which is what I like about it. So I will just add a little bit. What is that? Where are you? There you are. I'm just going to add a link to this helper. So if this is markdown, so I can do this. Right. And this BDD lazy var. All right. BDD lazy. This provides a user interface for testing framework. Right. I like this one. It is a small package written by some enthusiasts of RSpec, and I am very much an enthusiast of RSpec, and it brings a lot of nice functionality to Mocha and Chai. So we're going to use this one actually. So I'm just going to link to that in that description. And again, I don't know if this is the right name for this package, so let's see if we can. Well, it is called BDD lazy var, but perhaps I shouldn't be using capitals. Doesn't look good. Right, I'm just gonna do this. What? There we go. Right. Okay. So server, super static, implementation code, location, will be in source. Test locations, acceptance tests. So we can do. Can I do this? Yeah, I can do this. Unit specs will be in specs. Test dependencies will be here. And I don't necessarily have to link to all of those descriptions because people already know a bit, I guess, about Mocha and sign-on. And if they don't, then perhaps they should. They can Google themselves, or I can update this later. I don't know. Right. Right. So I'm gonna say technology. Is this even relevant to say that like this? I'll just move this up here. Right. Okay. So let's try to get on with this. First, right. So we are in the demo code. So we're just gonna do yarn init and pass in the while flag. So and that will be done. Okay. So I'm just gonna do step by step here. Step by step. It's not that I need to do that, but yarn init. Okay, and now I want to touch the not touch, but mkdir source, and I want to mkdir specs, right? Because that's what I want to do, and I want to do yarn add as a development dependency Cyprus. It's going to be our first objective, right? So let's just copy this. Right. For now, this is the objective of ours. Add Cyprus as a dev dependency. And we just do this like that. Whoops. There we go. Right, and then we need to execute install finish the installation of Cyprus, and that is simple, I think, unless something has changed. I don't know if you need to right, so we can do, let's see, npx. Oh, do I have to do that? Can I? No, I can do. Well, this I don't know if which one is. No. Node modules dot bin, and then Cypress. Yeah, and then I think I can just do open or something. I think so. Alright, let's try that. It looks like this your first time. It is my first time. Well, it's not my first time, but where am I? Oh, here I am. No? No? Okay, here. Right, so this pops open. We're creating some sample tests to demonstrate keys. Right. No thanks, delete the example files. Yay! Right, so this is nice. I can delete those. Right. Okay, so let's just, before I do that, let's just then click on the no thanks, delete that. Delete the files link, right? But let's see, we executed this one, right? This is the best way. This could be achieved by saying, or, you know, or you could in principle just do npx Cyprus open. I think so, at least. I do know so. Yeah, npx. Yeah, because that will check for the local installation. That is perfectly fine. I don't know why I prefer this one. Anyway, let's just delete those example files. Yes, I want to delete them. Good stuff. And now I just want to stop this. Right. Perhaps I shouldn't be stopping this. No. Well, then stop Cyprus by terminating the window. Right. Right. What is that? Cyprus quit. No. We terminate the window. Right. The window. That's, yeah. Anyway. Yeah, I can probably expand on this. No, I don't like this red stuff. I don't like the red stuff. Where's my demo code? Cyprus. We did set this up. Well, it worked, so that's not a problem. Okay. Let's stick to this for now, at least. Okay. What's the next step? Right. Let's add okay, so here we want to add these dependencies that we were talking about here, Mocha chai sign on BDD lazy var. So we're just gonna do yarn add as a dev dependency Mocha chai sign on chai and BDD lazy var, which is again not a very cool name. Just gonna copy this, right? And so next install the unit test dependencies. Right. So that's gonna be that. Okay. And then we want to create a spec helper. Now the question is, what is the best way to deal with this? There's a lot of upfront configuration the way I see it at the moment. Perhaps we should wait with the spec helper, right? No, because our objective is not. Yeah, the objective is for just dependent, but perhaps we should. So we have added the dependencies for running this thing, right? So then I think set up the folder structure. We did that, and we added the dependencies. Well, I could configure, right? Configure the dependencies to be to run tests, run the app, the application, and tests. Right. Is that? Are we biting off too much? I don't know. Perhaps we should move this to, yeah, so that would be setting up the project structure. Setting up the project structure. Right, no, we're gonna do this actually. So in step by step, right? So here we want to create the app structure. So right. So create index HTML in the source folder, right? We need an index HTML, right? So we need to do source and then index HTML. That kind of goes without saying, right? Yeah. Okay. And then we want to mk dir, and then we want to place our assets somewhere. So we could do assets. Well, no, we can just so usually you have like assets, and then inside of the assets you have JavaScript folder, and then you have then you have like a CSS folder or fonts folder or whatever you want to have. But this is a demo code, so I'm just gonna create a JavaScript folder and perhaps a CSS folder. We're not gonna use. No, actually, I'm not gonna do that because we don't want to. We will not add any CSS in, at least not at this stage. Now we want to create a JS subfolder. Is that how it's subfolder? And right. So we want to say app.js and with subfolder with two files. One that is called app.js and one that is called addressbook.js. And now we wonder, why would he use large casing like Pascal case on this one? Hello, Raisin, you're back. Nice to see you. I am in the process of writing a little bit of course docs, so it's something that we will. It's a challenge for both my students at Craft Academy and hopefully for the Work the Web program. So fire away with any questions. If you want to join in on an audio call, just let me know, and I can set that up on Slack. But I hope you had a great vacation, Raisin. I hope you had a great vacation and that you're back and rested and in a good shape. Glad to have you back. Right, so subfolder with the app.js, right. So we're going to touch in source JS. I'm going to say app.js. Yeah, I was just, before I got sidetracked by welcoming Raisin, Pedro, why did I say addressbook.js with Pascal case? Because it will hold my unit or my core core functionality. So let's see. Sorry. Let's see. There we go. Right. So that will and I'm not 100% sure whether this is a good or not or bad practice, but I usually when I bind a lot of functionality to an object or a class or whatever, I'm actually going to use an object on this one. I usually give them names with Pascal case, and that is something that I bear with me from my Ruby background, I guess. Anyway, I'm just gonna call this addressbook.js. Okay. Just gonna add those commands, and this one, right. Right. Do I have tree installed on this one? Yeah. Right, I do have tree installed on this one, but I don't want to output the entire tree. But I did have a command for this somewhere. Let me just check that. I should have a command for this. Git, right. But I'm not sure if I do. Let me try that. So tree is a nice little thing. A nice little command because it helps us. No, I did not. I did not have a command for this. So, but I did somewhere, but I can't find it. Let's see, Mac command. Well, tree. Let's see, tree command exclude folder. Right, tree ignore directed with patterns. Right. Oh yeah. Okay. So that was simple. Yeah. Yes. So what do we have? But yeah, no, I need to create some spec helpers. Right. So before we do this, we actually gonna go on and create. So perhaps we can here we can do create abstract. Yeah. Here we can say create spec helper spec helper JS. This backtick is not in the proper place and in the specs folder. Right. So we're just gonna do touch spec helper.js. Well, sorry. Specs. Right. There we go. And so why would I use camel case on this one? Well, that's my default naming standard for all JavaScript files. You lowercase the first letter and then uppercase the second word, the first letter in the second word, and so this is called camel case, and this one is called Pascal case. It's a variant of camel case, but all letters in the beginning are uppercased. That's a lot of rules. Right. So at the end, all in all, you should have the following application or following structure of folders and files. And so now if we do this, I can just copy that like this and include this formatted thing in the doc. And can I preview this? Can I preview? Yeah, I can preview this. Open preview, right. So let's see, setting up the project structure. Right, we added super static, right. So the next thing will be to add some scripts to package JSON. Good stuff. Good stuff. Right. Okay. We can get rid of this. We can get rid of this. Well, actually, we can get rid of all of this. I guess. Okay. So we can close the preview. Okay, let's right, running the whole thing. Right. Well, yeah. Should I? Well, okay. Running. Right. Let's see. No, we're gonna say let's focus on the necessary scripts will need to be able to run the whole thing, run the app and our tests. Right. So I'm gonna place here, we can just create an end and add some basic HTML5 structure, document to it, add h1 tag with the words, the content, address book or something, you know, I don't know, to the body tag. I don't know if I should. I mean, some of them might be beginners, the people that are going through this, so perhaps I should add. I mean, since we're talking about that, it doesn't really matter if they're beginners or not. So let's just go over to where is that source index? There it is. Right. So we're just going to do HTML5, and here we're just going to do h1 address book. Right. So copy this. Well, format this. Copy that. Right. We can close this for now. We don't need it for anything. Right. Okay. That's so let's focus on those scripts for a second. We have a package JSON. So the first script we want to add will be start. And that would be super static and then just source, right? That's going to be the folder. The thing with super static is that it has a default port number. I see if I can override that. Let's see, npm js.org is going to check out super static for a second. There are many other web servers you can use, but this is pretty lightweight. I'll go run with this one. Configuration, clean, rewrites. Right, I don't want to rewrite anything. Oh, yeah. Okay, so I can override that. Host. We're gonna specify the directive portal. Right. Okay, so I can do port, and I'm gonna do 3000 because I like port 3000. You know, I can, choose to run whatever I want. Okay. So let's see if this actually works. Yarn start. Oh, didn't I add oh, I didn't add super static. Yeah, I didn't. Fuck, I didn't add that. The creative spec help finish yarn the Cyprus how to say. Right. Okay, so we need to say add super static as a dependency. Yeah, I focused on all the test setup, but I forgot to add this guy. So we're just gonna say yarn add super static. That was a bummer. Okay. Right. So we're just gonna copy this guy and as a development dependency. Right. So hopefully people understand. Well, I could actually, because I did, so I could X this right and add Cyprus at the end. Doesn't really matter. FPX right. That should do it. Okay. Anyways, back to the future. Yarn start. Let's see if that works now. Visit localhost 3000 to view your app. So this one doesn't open a browser, which is a good way in a way. It is a good thing. Localhost 3000 address book. This works. Okay. Awesome. Let's get rid of this. Let's stop this. Okay. So let's focus on the necessary scripts we need to add to our test. First out will be the script to start the application, to start the app. So let's start the app. Right, in package JSON, add the scripts key as the value needs to be set the value set the value to an object. Nope. There we go. Right, set the value to an object. In add the the start script to it. Can I say to it like this? Right, and right. So what package JSON? So now I show them that, and that should be enough. Hopefully that's enough. Right. We can just format this properly. All right. Okay. And this is JSON. Right. This badly formatted JSON. Shit. Should I even bother with having this as JSON? Yeah, this will be badly formatted because I don't have. So if I don't do JSON, what does that look? Right, it's better if I don't do. Yeah. That's what this is. Scripts. This is scripts. Scripts will need to be able to run the app and our tests. Okay. All right. Next, we want to configure the script for running Mocha. Right. So here, this is a bit tricky because in here we want this guy to not only run Mocha as it is. So running Mocha is very simple because you just say, well, we're going to call it test. Should we call it test? Right, we can call it test. And so the first thing is just to say Mocha, right? And that will execute test. But we want to tell Mocha where to look for tests. Go ahead, Joshua Science 07, go ahead, fire away. So we want to tell this guy to run the tests that are inside of the specs folder, right? But we also want to say if there are any subfolders or anything like that. So we want to say recursive. And at the end, we just want the runner to exit, to stop everything. So that's going to be fun. But we also want to use this BDD lazy var. So we're just going to add this setting. It's a flag you use, and then we say BDD lazy var. And we need to, because it's Mocha, so we need to, and this is all documented in the README, we want to say global. But we also, because we created this spec helper, we also want to use that spec helper on all the tests or for our unit specs, right? And we don't want to have to include that on top of every file. So therefore, I want to execute this. I want to say file specs spec helper. And I know that other people might do this differently, but I am doing it this way. You will probably have opinions, or some people might have opinions about how I include certain dependencies to help Mocha run. You can have a Mocha RC, and a lot of these settings could be done there. But this is this works, and that's how I want to have it. Anyway, you had a question, Joshua. Just fire away if you want me to address something. I'm very glad. I love questions. First name, last name. My question is what should we use apartment? I can't answer that question. I'm sorry. I have no clue about the email services. Yeah, that was an odd question. First name, last name. Either one of them, I guess. Anyway, let's see if this would work now. So if I run this script, so if I do yarn test, then we just get 0 passing. Oh, that is actually good. Right. So So now I need to kind of explain all of this to people. Right. So next one, to configure the script for running test for running Mocha. In the scripts, to the scripts folder, add the following script to the scripts key. Right, and here I'm just gonna add it like this, and I will say, let me explain what is going on. Right. Well, no, we can do so Mocha is the command executes. No, it is runs the test framework, right? And then -- file specs spec helper JS preloads our helper methods, and then we had this one tells Mocha to use the library, and then recursive runs specs in subfolders of specs, if any, if there are any, and then finally, not finally, actually we need to say exit exit, and then let's see, the exit, yeah, exits, like, exits the, shuts down Mocha after the last test case has been executed or finished or whatever. Right, and then we say specs is pointing or points Mocha to the folder, where your tests are located. Right. Okay. So that should be that. Now, if you execute this script, you should see a message that what should you see? You should see something like yeah, 0 passing, right? 0 passing. I guess that's it. That like, so this is similar to this bash right, something like that. Done. Well, I can actually copy the whole thing. Can I do that? Space, right. Right. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. Let's see if we can do the preview here. Mocha file specs. Right, that's a good explanation in my opinion. That should be enough. Okay, so let's just do git status, git, we'll actually do git status here. Right, git add everything. But it was the node modules are right. Good, they're omitted. Oh, that's awesome. Git add everything, and then git CIAM. I have a bit of abbreviation or shortcuts. Yeah. Git CIAM, and we will say something like adds content to the first. No, adds setup project setup instructions, right, and configuration. All right, but we're not really done yet, actually. Okay, right. Okay, so moving on to Cyprus commands. Right, and so yeah, exactly, because we didn't have to use anything in terms of starting the server or anything like that so far, because there was no need. Right. So. When we want, so here we need to add a few commands. I'm going to add a command that is called ci open. Don't forget the commas, and another one that is called ci. No, we're actually just going to do ci open. So here we want to do Cyprus open like this, and then we want to do the actual Cyprus command that we will be executing, and for that we're going to do start server and test, and that would be start, and we will be waiting for HTTP localhost 3000, and once that has been loaded, we want to start the CI open. Cyprus start server and test start right, and we don't, since this guy doesn't start a browser for us, that's perfectly fine. Now I know that when I set this up for React, using the React scripts, if you use the create React app, that this would look slightly different. And the problem here is, why do I need two of them? I'm not 100% sure, so I'll actually run a few experiments, so perhaps I can combine all of that into one. But my previous experience tells me that if I put this Cyprus open directly here, then this will not really work, but I am willing to try. So right, I know what this guy is doing. Copy link address. I know what this guy was doing. Right, perhaps not. Okay. So let's see. What if I just run this command? So yarn Cyprus. Oh, because I'm in the wrong folder. Sorry. Yarn Cyprus. Start server. Really? 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 What am I doing wrong here? Didn't I add that? I thought well, let's see. Packages start dev depend. Oh, I didn't add that. Well, that explains. So yarn add -d start server and test. Why wouldn't I add that? Oh shit. Now I'm making mistakes. It's a capital D, right? Right, so this needs to be right, added here. I'm messing up. Right, so now we do this. No, right, so this worked. Awesome. But if I would now say Cyprus open, Cyprus, right. So if I just, yeah, so right. E2E, can I just say E2E like this? So yarn E2E. Right, this wouldn't work, right? And why isn't this working? Because we can do explicit npm script name that starts server. Right. And that runs the test, exactly. So that wouldn't work, right? So I need these two. So this is a script that needs to be there, and this is another script that needs to be there, and therefore I need to create both of them, right? So here in my documentation, I need to say, no, it's going to Cyprus Commands, add these two scripts that will make use of the start server and test library package or library. There we go. Library. There we go. These are the two ones that we need, and we just need to format this back like this. And so again, let me explain what's going on. And here, so we just do start server and test. Use that library package to run the to execute what follows, and then this one that executes your start script equivalent of running yarn start in your terminal, in your from CLI, from command line, from CLI, right? And then this tell the package, the runner of the package to wait for to fully load or to answer requests. I don't know if it's fully load, but let's do that. And then CI open, well, yeah, I forgot those semicolons. So I'm gonna just copy this and modify that, and then CI open scripts, CI open from your CLI. Right. Right. So let's just add those colons so we follow the same structure. Right. Okie dokie. Right. Where's my phone? Just gonna check one thing here. 11:39. We're closing in on lunchtime, so we will go on for 20-30 more minutes writing this. Okay. Right. But we need to add this to the instructions because we kind of missed that, and that was on the dev dependencies. Development yarn add the Cyprus open. There it is. Yarn unit test debate there. Right, so we need to add this guy here as well. Okay. So now we are but in Cyprus, now there is Cyprus created a file in the root folder of the project that is named cyprus.json. Please add the following configuration to that file. Right. And here, so yeah, exactly. So what we want to do is to add two keys here. One that is called base URL. There we go. Base URL, and that would be HTTP localhost 3000 because we used 3000 for superstatic, and then another one that is called Chrome Web Security, and we want to set it to false actually. And why do we want to set it to false? Because if we're gonna do some networking in our tests, and it's not at all, set in stone that we will do that in this particular challenge, but it's better to have this. Better safe than sorry. And since you're in test environment, it doesn't really matter. It's not a security issue per se, so we should be good. Right on. Chrome Web Security. Right. False. Documentation. Where is that? There it is. Right. So actually, I need to find a good wording for what that does. Right. So again, a little explanation as usual. let me work that. What's going on? So we're just going to do Chrome Web Security, and here we can say something like setting this to true false allows you right. Allows you to okay, so allows you to access any domain without cross-origin errors. Is that how we can say access any domain, local or not, without um, without experiencing cross-origin errors, right? And then the base URL, right? So base URL, right? Let's see. And base URL is basically telling you that you can, you're telling Cyprus where base URL. Come on. It's a convenience thing, right? Saves you time by not having to constantly repeat the URL, the address of your app in Cyprus in tests. Right, exactly. So that's it. Actually, we can just make this right. What is going on? Okay. So at this stage, I can just go on and do git status. Right, it's better if I do it here, right? Git add. I don't know if I didn't create any new. Anyways, git CIAM clarifies Cyprus and Mocha config instruction. Right, something like that. Okay, git push origin address book challenge. Right, so I'll actually just do this off camera because it's a private repo. So just create a PR. Right. Okay. Right. So we could create a test. So I can create a test. New file. User can visit the application dot feature dot js. Right. And here we want to do the describe block, and we're just going to say user can visit I don't know, visits the application URL. And here I have a problem, but anyway, we can do a very simple it block and we can say is expected to display header, right? And here we just want to say ci visit, because we need to instruct the app to go to the application or visit the application. So we do visit root path just a slash, because we did set this base URL. That's the reason. And then we're just gonna say ci get this h1, and we're gonna run an assertion should, and the assertions in Cyprus are twofold. So the first argument is the chai assertion, and the second one is what it's looking for. So we can say contain.text, which is one way of testing this, and that should say address book, right? And that is the test itself. Is expected to display, right? So let's see if we can run this. Yarn Cyprus. God, again in the wrong terminal. So we're just gonna do yarn Cyprus here. We're starting this up, and here we are. We have our new test. We're gonna run this, and we are going green because it does say address book, and the h1 is actually doing what it is supposed to do, which is nice. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Okay, so let's just update the instructions. Where are we? Start server, right? Your first test, the first Cyprus test. So in the Cyprus integration, is it called integration? Yeah, it's called integration. In the Cyprus integration folder, create. We will now create. We will now create a new test file. Give this file. Name this file. Name this file as follows. And you can do whatever you want. I mean, you don't have to follow mine. But anyway, touch Cyprus integration user can visit this, right? This place add the following describe block with and the test case, the it block, right? So, and then we just do this, and we do a little bit JavaScript, and we basically just gonna copy this code in there, right? Like this. And what time is it? 11:52. Right. Okay. So we're gonna wait for a second more. Describe block and the test case, the hit block within it. Right. So let me what is going are here. Right. What is going on here? Well, so why do we, right, exactly. So just how can I explain the describe block? I don't know. Mm-hmm. But why do I need a describe? Well, actually, we don't have to use context. We can use context, right? Is that better? Context, user visitor. Right. Right, perhaps we can use context instead. Perhaps that's a little bit clearer for people. I don't know. How can we describe context? Right. Why use right, so yeah. Bum ba-dum 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 ba-dum. War context, so describe context. Right, so let's just say context. Can also be describe. Helps you to organize your tests in conference. Right. In context, how can I explain that? In context, in groups, or in groups, in relevant, in groups of relevant group, or organize you in oh gosh, how can I calculate context? Helps you to organize your tests in relevant uh, scenarios that reflects the end users, the subjects. Oh shit! In this case, it would be the relevance of the user interaction context or describe relevant scenarios. No, it's or topics. I think that's enough, right? And then it, and in this case, I think that it has also a substitute, doesn't it? It can also be specify, actually. Context specify, yeah, can, but I don't like specify. Can also be specify. Um, is the unit, is the test case that will assert that your code behaves as intended. within you can execute, oh shit, you can execute code in the it block right, in the it block, and then we're just gonna say expect is the assertion interface that no, we're not using expect, by the way. We're not using expect. Why are you talking? Why are you talking about expect? You don't. You don't. Right. You don't have to do that. Right. There are several other components of a test case that we will be working with later, such as the such as hooks like, or we say hooks later, hooks like before each after and after each. Understanding these, or no, we can leave it like that. So that was the first thing, right? First thing, right? Okay. Let's just stop this. Git status, right? Git add, or git status here, right? Git add everything, and then we just do git ci am adds basic Cyprus test 4. That's it, right? Origin address book challenge. Okay, we are a bit over 12 o'clock, noonish. It's time for me to eat some lunch. We managed to I managed to set up at least the beginning of some documentation about setting up the environment for Cyprus, and that's for acceptance tests, and for unit tests, Mocha and Chai, and we added this start server and test. Where is it going to live on the web when it's done? So we are going through. This is course documentation for a community training program that I'm running with the Agile Ventures community. That is called Work the Web, and if you haven't been to Agile Ventures yet, let me just point you to that domain. So we're running a summer camp kind of thing. So Agile Ventures is a community of programmers. So we work on open source together and so on. And we're running this Work the Web summer camp. That is a community source training program, basically. It's free and so on. So if you want, you can sign up for this for Agile Ventures, and you will get hopefully an invite to the Slack channel And if you don't get the invite, because we've actually had some problems with Slack and then permissions, so you can email me directly or here in on Twitch or Thomas at agileVentures.org. Thomas at agileVentures.org. So that's where we're gonna use this in a session later on. I don't think it's gonna be today, but perhaps on Thursday. Today we're gonna do some React and Redux dispatching stuff. But the thing with this training program is that, or this particular documentation, is not that we want to become super good at writing vanilla JavaScript and HTML apps, because nobody does that. But this is a first step into testing applications or using tests in your development process according to a specific flow that mixes test-driven development with behavior-driven development. So we work with two layers: one high-level acceptance tests, which is the Cyprus thing that I was just doing, and then when we work with some, or when we encapsulate some logic in specific functions or something like that, then we head over down to the unit level, and that will be Mocha and so on. Sounds so much like Ember test. Well, the testing, like discipline in Ember is great. I know that a lot of people on the Ember core team originally came from Ruby on Rails, and I am a Rails developer by nature now, by heritage, I guess now. But so yeah, I like testing, and I found this way by mixing Cypress and Mocha and so on to work for me, to kind of resemble the flow that I used back in the days when I was working with full stack Rails apps. That was a combination between RSpec and actually Cucumber, which was a great framework for acceptance tests, together with Selenium or what have you. So I'm trying to replicate that a little bit, and it works for me in my projects, and this is what I kind of teach to my students, with a disclaimer, because it sounds so fantastic in theory that you will always write your tests first and then your implementation code, and there are people out there that are very, very strict about this, and I'm not that very strict. I think that acceptance tests are great. I think that unit tests are extremely valuable, and I think that if I can follow a specific flow with writing tests first and the implementation later, then that forces me to think about what I'm doing, narrow down my scope, and eventually help me to produce good quality code, whatever that is. But yeah, if it doesn't work for you, then it doesn't work. But testing up front is one thing, but I would rather have test than not test. So if you can't test up front, at least test afterwards. That what I usually say. I love what you generate anything in Ember apps. It also generates your tests. Yeah, I know. That's a nice feature in Ember, and I agree with everything you're saying. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate that. I will call it quits now, but I will be online. Not sure if I can make it later today, but definitely tomorrow, to continue to work on this course documentation, and see where we end up. I have a few things that I came up with, I don't know, I combined things that other people have done into some recipes or strategies for testing my units that are fairly interesting for me, and hopefully for you guys. But yeah, so I'm Thomas at agileventures.org. If you want to shoot me an email, definitely. Thank you very much for following. And if you're not a subscriber, subscribe. Um, and if you are, I salute you for that. And I hope to see you next time. Sayonara, folks. Have a great afternoon or morning or evening, wherever you are. So long.